Yes, friends, welcome to this webinar of GST and IDT Committee of ICI. And this is on the very important topic, and the topic is the GST Amnesty Scheme. Actually, it's a Section 128A. It's not an amnesty, but we popularly called it as a GST Amnesty Scheme for interest and penalties. So, we have in absentia our chairman Rajendra Kumar sir, who is busy today in Chennai because President sir is also there. So he has given his wishes, good wishes to this webinar, to all the participants and to the speaker of today, Mr. Deepak Agrawal from Akola, Maharashtra. Friends, RK sir has a vision that our members should get a best of GST knowledge, best of publication from GST and IDT committee, and best of webinars and seminars. So our endeavor is that we should provide you whatever best faculties and best topics in our day-to-day discussions in practice and resolve your maximum issues related to that. So today's webinar is on 28th of March 2025, and maximum people know that 31st March is the date for the books closure, for the financial year closure, and also for 128A maximum compliance. Our speaker will throw a light on his name is Deepak, and हिंदी में हम कहते हैं दीपक, ये उजाला देने वाला दीपक है, तो ये ज्ञान का उजाला देने वाला दीपक है अपने सामने. सो ही इज अ पर्सन हु इज एनलाइटिंग to the members of our profession from last 18 years. He is practicing in indirect taxes. He resides in Akola, Maharashtra, and he was the past chairman of Akola branch also. Further, it's very important that he is a trainer of GST and IDT committee, and he regularly takes seminars, sessions for the public interest also, and for our members and students also. And we are very fortunate that he has consented in spite of his busy schedule of 31st March. We all know that March is a one of a busy month for we all are chartered accountants. But as things progress, many notifications, many circulars and clarification came on section 128A. And yesterday, recently, two clarifications and notifications has also come. So what is there inside that? What is the effect of that? All things will be covered today by our learned speaker. So this type of seminars, webinars are of utmost importance to serve our clients, to have our knowledge updated, and to grow in our practice. So with these words, I welcome you all, being a chairman, vice chairman of this GST and IDT committee. So I will request Deepak ji to take forward the session, and thereafter we can have question and answer. A screen is already there with the participant to share their questions, and thereafter our learned speaker will take the few selected questions as he wish to answer. So over to you, Deepak ji. Now floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. First of all, I give my regards to the President of the Institute, Nanda sir, the Vice President, Prasanna sir, the Chairman of Indirect Tax Committee in his absentia, Rajendra Kumar sir, we popularly know him as RK sir, and of course the torchbearer of GST in our region, Umesh Sharma sir. Thank you, and to the members of the Indirect Taxes Committee of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. First of all, I'll like to convey my regards and give a hearty thanks to Mr. for giving me this opportunity to speak on the subject of unlocking the benefits under Section 128A. So friends, as we all know, 31st March is approaching very near. Only 3 days are left. So we need to make the payments of taxes which are covered under Section 73. The orders have been passed or the notices have been issued for the period 1st July 2017 onwards, like 17, 18, 18, 19, and 19, 20. So if we go back to a year, we remember that everything was in havoc. 16.4 was a big issue everywhere. Wherever you travel, wherever you go, the first thing everybody used to ask was whether anything is going to come positively on the side of 16.4. So we are very happy and fortunate that government has accepted all the trade's demand and issued Section 16.5, which has almost wiped out the problem of Section 16.4, which existed majorly in the initial years of implementation of GST. Now, then we come to, we were having many litigation cases, 73, 74 cases, in which litigation was going on. And since GST was a very new act and a very fresh act and a very altogether a different way of collection of taxes, everything was changing. The return filing mechanism was changing. And on the ground, not everybody was prepared for it. So it led to a lot of litigations. People were getting assessed in 21, 22, 23 for periods of 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, where the knowledge which we were having at the time of filing of returns or doing compliances under GST was very little earlier. And when the assessment came up, the officers, as well as many circulars and many notifications and many judgments were received. So this led to a lot of litigation for initial use. So a year ago, if we when we were not having this 128A, we were wondering when it will come, how it will come, whether it will be giving us the complete relief, whether at that time we were hoping that something should come because indirect taxes can take away your businesses together with it. Like heavy demands can lead to bankruptcy, can lead to shutdown of business. So it was a need of time that government recognizes that the waiver should be given in this regard. So in on 1st of November 2024, they came up with Section 128A, which basically is providing waiver of interest and penalty or both pertaining to demands raised under Section 73 for certain periods. That certain period is 17, 18, 18, 19, and 19, 20. So this is the background of when it came. Now, many of us, it's almost 3 days left. So many of you might have gone through the provisions of Section 128A as well as the circulars. And last night, Circular 164, as well as last night also a circular of 248, as well as second amendment bill was issued, which amended the CGST rules, in which of 2 points were covered, which were debatable. So till now, the clarifications are coming. Till now, the issues are there. Till now, many queries are also there. I'll try my level best to solve as many queries as possible. But due to paucity of time, I may not be able to answer some of them. It may happen that due to paucity of time, that few queries are left. But majorly, I will try and deliberate on this topic so that majorly the queries which are asked are covered at the time of delivery of my lecture. So I'll just start my screen sharing. Nisarji, am I visible? Is it visible? Okay, fine. So firstly, we shall go towards the provisions of Section 128A. We shall go and read the sections 128A as well as rule number 164 for a better understanding of the subject. Firstly, 128A say nothing, notwithstanding anything contrary to the contained in this act, where an amount of tax is payable
जी
I'm sorry. Notwithstanding anything contrary contained in this act, where an amount of tax is payable by a person chargeable with tax. So initially, when this section came, everybody was wondering whether a person should be chargeable with tax so as to get the benefit of 128A. Later on, the FAQs and circulars came and which clarified to an extent what this provision means. So, where a person is chargeable with tax as per a notice or a statement under 73(1), 73(3), like show cause notice or the annexure, where no order under 73(9) has been passed. So, like, it is in the notice stage itself. Many of you might be wondering that 73 in 73, which cases are there which are still pending, like it is still in the SCM stage. So there might be cases where the taxpayer who has received this show cause notice under 73 or annexure under 73(3) might have gone to the High Court and by way of a writ, and they might have got a stay on those proceedings. So still the order might be pending in those cases. So that case is covered in 128A. Second is where the order has been issued under 73(9) and where no order under section 107(11) or 108(1), like appeal and revision order is still pending. So like first stage is show cause notice stage. Second is the OIO has been passed, original order has been done, but the appeal order is pending. Like it may be, it covers both the scenario where the appeal is filed or whether the appeal is not filed. It doesn't make any difference. Only thing is that appeal order shouldn't have been passed, or an order issued under section 107 and 108(1), where no order under section 113(1) has been issued. So like order of the first appellate authority FFA has been issued, and the matter is still to be is pending before the tribunal. Like you have given annexure I in those cases. So if so, we have seen three scenarios. One is in the notice stage. One is where the OIO has been passed. Second is where first appeal order has been passed, and it is pending before the tribunal or any other court. So, pertaining to a period from 1st July 2017 to 31st March 2020 or part thereof, as and the said person pays the full amount of tax payable as per the notice or statement or the order referred to in clause A, clause B, or clause C, as the case may be, on or before the due date, as may be notified by the government on recommendations of the council. No interest under section 50 and penalty under this act shall be payable, and all the proceedings in respect of the said notice or order or statement, as the case may be, shall be deemed to be concluded subject to conditions as may be prescribed. So if these three scenarios which I have earlier discussed, if this belongs to the first 3 years of GST, like first year was 9 months and then the 2 years of GST, and the person who was chargeable with tax pays the full amount of tax payable as per the notice or the order, then and that too on or before the notified date. What is the notified date? It is 31st of March 2025. On the then what waiver you are going to get? You are going to get the waiver of interest under section 50 and penalty under this act. So, and the proceedings regarding those cases will be assumed to be closed subject to some conditions. So it is very clear that the amnesty is available only on two grounds, that is interest and penalty. There is no question of late fee, anything or other fines which are getting covered under this 128A. One second, please. Oh, sorry. Provided that, then there are a few provisos to it. Provided that where a notice has been issued under 74(1) and an order is issued or required to be issued by a proper officer in pursuance to the direction of the appellate authority or appellate tribunal or the court as as per section 75(12), the said notice or order shall be considered to be a notice or order referred to in clause A, B, C of this section. So like you have got a notice or an order under section 74(1). Okay, so what is 74(1)? Due to fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of fact, the officer has issued a show cause under 74, and the order has been passed under 74. So, like you are agreed with this, that you feel that this is not a case of 74. This case should be covered under 73. Obviously, the 74 proceedings are harsher than 73. Penal provisions are harsher. So you have gone to the appeal, because 74 can be converted into 73 by appellate authority or a higher authority than the FAA. So by FAA, I mean first appellate authority. So you have gone into appeal, and the matter is still pending in appeal. So whether the timeline of 31st March will be applicable for you, the first question. So it is amply clear the timeline of 31st March will not be applicable in cases governed under 74. And just a second, please give me some time. Sorry about that. So if the cases were covered under 74 and the appellate authority redetermines it under 73, then you will be able to take the benefit of 128A, and the timeline for it is 6 months from the end of the order of redetermination of tax under 73. So this is a continuous scheme. This scheme is not going to end on 31st March 2025. This scheme will be applicable for 74 order, whether it is passed in 2027 or 28 or thereafter. But the period should be 1st July 2017 to 31st March 20. The next provision is, if the department has filed appeal, revision proceeding, or other proceeding, and the amount of tax payable is increased. Just a second. I'm extremely sorry about it. It is provided further that when the department has filed appeal, revision proceeding, or other proceedings, and the amount of tax payable is increased, the conclusion of the proceeding under this section will be subject to payment of additional amount within 3 months of the date of said order. Provided also that where such interest and penalty has already been paid, no refund under the same shall be available. So the second provision says that if the department has gone into revision for any of the orders passed, suppose an appeal order has been passed in your favor, but the department has preferred to file a revision proceeding against it, and suppose it led in future, if it leads to increase in tax, then the conclusion of the proceeding under this section will be subject to payment of additional amount within 3 months of the date of the said order. Now, one very harsh provision, or you might say, people who have paid the taxes under 73 in 73 cases will feel that, provided also that where such interest and penalty has been paid, no refund of the same shall be available to the taxpayer. So this is section 128(1). This is all about section 128(1). Now we'll come to the 3 remaining clauses of section 128A. First one is nothing contained in this subsection 1 shall be applicable in respect of amount payable by a person on amount payable by the person on account of erroneous refund. So if you have received a refund which is after receipt of the refund, it has been termed as erroneous, and again the a demand is raised for a recovery of this erroneous refund, then in those cases you won't be able to take the benefit of section 128A. Whatever the interest or penalty that will come, you'll have to pay it in toto. You cannot get a waiver out of it. Secondly, not which this provision has to be read very carefully. 128.3, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 shall be applicable in respect of cases where an appeal or writ petition filed by the said person is pending before an appellate authority or appellate tribunal or a court, as the case may be, and has not been withdrawn by the said person on or before the date notified under subsection 1. So a plain reading of this section says that 128 A3 will suggest that you will have to first withdraw the appeal so to claim the benefit of this amnesty if there is appeal pending before the appellate authority or a tribunal or a court. So this and the fourth and final provisions of section 128 is notwithstanding anything contained in this act where an amount specified under subsection 1 has been paid and the proceedings are deemed to be concluded under the subsection, no appeal under section 107(1) or 112(1) shall lie against the order referred to in B or C of subsection 1. So like you have opted for the waiver, you have got an order in your favor. So after getting an waiver, you feel that you have misread any provision. You shouldn't have opted for a waiver scheme. So in those cases, your chance of going into appeal will be gone. So this is the only restriction. See, 2, 3, and 4 provide the restrictions. One is for erroneous refund. One is the appeal has not been withdrawn, and third is where order has been passed in your favor. Then there will be no appeal as such allowed under this provisions of this act. So these are all the three restrictions which are provided by section 128A. Whatever the other restrictions have been imposed by rules. From where the rules get the power. See, you can read it here, subject to conditions as may be prescribed. So the other conditions have been imposed on the basis of rules which are formulated under rule number 164, and thereafter we have got a circular number 238 which has solved some problem, given relief in some problem, and has raised a few of the questions that what is to be done in those cases where we were thinking that amnesty this waiver will be applicable, and the circular has said otherwise. We will go and discuss this after completely specifically under the matters which are covered under 7512. Okay, so as I said, the notification for this is for the purpose of clause 1 of section 128, subclause 1. The time limit which was prescribed, the notified date is 31st March 2025. And as we discussed earlier, in cases where 74 orders are converted into 73, then the date of ending of completion of 6 months from the date of issuance of the order by the proper officer, redetermining tax under 73 of this act. So if your 74 gets converted into 73, 6 months from the end from the 6-month period will start from the issuance of the order. So this scheme is going to run and run for a long time in 74 cases specifically. So by going by the pure nature of this, if somebody is wondering that what should be done in case of 74 matters, let's keep those appeals alive. If suppose their cases are 73 plus 74, then you'll have to do a cost benefit analysis and you will have to decide which option will be beneficial. But it's purely on 74. 128 is not applicable. It will become applicable if it is getting redetermined under section. If the demand gets redetermined under from 74 to 73. Now we come to the rules. The rules are has been prescribed by way of circular number by way of an amendment to the rules. The rule 164 provides procedure and conditions for closure of proceedings under section 128A in respect of demand issued under section 73. So these are the procedures which have been prescribed, what needs to be done, how, in which case, which form is going to be filed, when it is going to be filed, how the officer is going to pass a defect memo or accept the order, when after acceptance of the order, what will happen if the officer rejects the order, what are the appeal options available. This all have been provided by rule number 164. So if we go to the first clause of 128A, it said when where the notice has been issued but order has been not passed. In only in those cases where notice which are still under the notice stage and where the orders are still pending, you need to file SPL 01 and pay the tax by DRC 03 before filing of the application under SPL 01. In rest all the cases, you need to file SPL 02. And in those cases, you will have to modify your ELR, electronic liability registered. If you have paid to DRC 03, you will have to file DRC 03A and get your electronic liability registered, modified. So the first stage we have seen notice, it is in still notice. You will have to file SPL 01, pay the tax by DRC 03 because there is no ELR in this case. Only it is at the notice stage. There is no order has been passed. So there is no demand as on date. So you will have to choose whether the notice contains whatever the contention in the notice, whatever the allegations are there, whether you are going to win on those notices or not. And if you feel there is a slight chance of losing in those notice, then you can pay the amount tax alleged in those notice and get the relief of interest and penalty. In those cases, you will have to pay the demand by 31st March, file waiver application within 3 months of 31st March 2025. So be clear that SPL 01 or SPL 02, in both the cases, the last date of filing of the application is 3 months from 31st 3 2025. So it will end on 30th of June 2025. And then till then you will have to file the application of this SPL 01 or SPL 02. Now coming to second stage where the order has been passed or it is in appeal or writ stage. In all other cases, like I said, other than notice stage, everything has to be under SPL 02. So if in that case, in that scenario, SPL 02 has to be filed, you will have to again pay the tax by 31st March 2025, file the waiver application within 3 months, and you'll have to file SPL 02 and pay your tax through ELR. Like if you have demand outstanding and if you have not paid DRC 03, then whenever you are going to pay the challan or you are going to utilize the credit for the squaring of those demand, you should go into the option of ledgers. Then in ledgers, you have got an option of payment towards demand. In that option, you will see all the demands under which are still active. And out of that demand, you will have to choose the demand which you are going to, for which you are opting for 128A. And that demand is to be paid from there. Don't just file DRC 03 and keep it as it is. If you have even filed DRC 03, just go use the option of DRC 03A. And my personal suggestion on this matter is don't wait for filing of DRC 038 till the last date. You'll have to adjust that ELR. So in that cases, there are many problems in while filing the DRC 03A, specifically in cases where there is demand under IGST. Because what is happening is that if you have paid the DRC 03 and if the liability is of IGST, and suppose I have selected state as Maharashtra, and while passing the order, the officer has selected the state as or UT as New Delhi, then this is not getting set off. So like the demand are not getting squared off even through DRC 03A. So don't wait for it. If you have filed a DRC 03, just go ahead and file the ELR. Just reduce the liability from the ELR. Now coming to 74 versus 73, which we have already discussed, pay the tax demand within 6 months of the order of redetermination. File the application in SPL 02 within 6 months of redetermination of tax under 73. So in these cases, you will have to both pay the tax as well as file the application within 6 months. In other stages, we have seen you'll have to pay the tax by 31st March and file the application in SPL 1 or 2 by 30th June of 2025. Suppose if the department goes in appeal, the second provision we have discussed, pay and the liability has been increased, then you'll have to pay the amount of additional demand within 3 months. If not done, SPL 05 or SPL 06 will become void. You'll have to be very careful in these cases. If suppose you have filed for SPL 01, you get the order in your favor, you have, and the department has gone into appeal in those cases, and subsequently the demand has increased, which you have not paid, then you will have to pay it within 3 months. Otherwise, if it is not done, the amnesty which were given to you earlier will become void. Now coming to the erroneous refund stage. If the demand is erroneous refund plus other reason not covered under 128A, there are some situations in which the notices are issued under 73, but as per the circular, it is saying that these cases are not covered under section 73. So these are direct recovery cases or on which there is no requirement to issue 73 notice. In those cases, what will happen in those cases? If suppose a demand is for erroneous refund, and suppose say as if we say R1 versus 3B demand, which the circular says is not getting covered under 128A. So in those cases, you'll have to pay full amount of tax before filing SPL 01 or 2. Pay the interest and penalty pertaining to the issue not covered under 128A in 3 months of SPL 05 or SPL 06. And if not, waiver will become void. Again, here also, the waiver will become void if you have not paid the interest or the penalty within the period of 3 months from SPL 05 or SPL 06. So like if this situation is what? There are, suppose the order is for 4 paras. The demand is on 4 grounds. 3 of the grounds are eligible for amnesty. Suppose there is a 2A 3B demand. Suppose there is a block credit demand. Suppose there is a sale which has been shown short, which has been classified, rate of tax was different, and the officer has raised an additional demand. If these 3 matters are automatically covered under 128A, and suppose there is an R1 versus 3B demand, which the department is saying that it is not covered under 128A. So in those cases, you will have to pay the full amount of tax charge, all the 4 things you have to pay. Then you will have to quantify the interest and penalty pertaining to the matter which is not covered under 128A. How you will calculate? This will come when we will discuss the FAQ as well as the Q&A, that how to calculate the interest amount and penalty amount when specifically the order does not give a breakup of interest and penalty parawise. So that issue will be there always, and we will discuss at the time of FAQ and Q&A. So, so in those cases, if you don't pay the interest and penalty for the areas not covered under 128A, the waiver will become void after 3 months. And this one more thing which before yesterday, second amendment to the rules came in, and one more circular came in, that was 248/05/2025, dated 27th of March 2025, which has come in, which has given a partial relief in cases which had a single order has been passed, where the period covered under those order is more than 3 years, like 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, and 22. For an example, 2021. So in those cases, you are eligible for 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, but all the demands under suppose 2021 are out of the purview of 128A. So in those cases, you are not getting the benefit of any interest or penalty. You'll have to pay the entire demand. So in those cases, now a small change has been made, which is a very welcome change that the government has come up last night. So if the demand of partial amnesty period, if the demand is of partial amnesty period, that is up to 31st 3 2020, and partially non-amnesty period. So in those cases, what has happened? Pay full amount of tax related to period mentioned in subsection in said subsection before filing of SPL 01 or SPL 02. So only thing is, like, you'll have to pay the demand pertaining to the period which is covered under 128A. Day before last night, this situation was not available. You were not allowed any relief. You'll have to, till yesterday, the scenario was you'll have to pay the entire tax for all the period covered under the order, and you will not get the benefit of interest and penalty for the period which is not covered under 128A. So from last night, the scenario has changed. It is saying now that you can pay only in cases where there are the period is more than the is of multiple years, and the demand is for also covers period which is not covered under 128A. So in that case, you will have to just pay the tax related to uh, period of 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, and you can continue with your appeal for the remaining set of years, and you don't need to withdraw those appeals as per the latest circular and the amendment to the rules. Now come the glitch again. It says no refund of tax, interest and penalty if already paid before the commencement of second amendment rules. Like day before yesterday, you were knowing that you have an order of 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 and 2021. What you have done is withdrawn the complete appeal. You have paid the entire taxes of all the 4 years, and you will be liable to pay the interest and penalty for 2021 for within 3 months. So in those cases, now if you have paid the entire amount and you have paid the interest as well as penalty, then there will be no refund available. So this is a bit harsh on people who have already paid, but this is the way amnesties function. Not this amnesty or other also amnesty, if you see that uh, the people who have paid the taxes will always get a bit annoyed with it. But we won't go into that area. We will just stick up to our whatever the amendments have been coming lately. So in those cases where there is a the period of demand is the order is for more than 3 years. In those cases, pay interest and penalty pertaining to period not covered in 128A in 3 months of SPL 05 or 06. If not, the waiver becomes void. So everywhere 3 months you will have to pay, and if not, your waiver is going to become void. Till yesterday, you were liable to pay. From today, till from last night, what thing has happened is you can, if the matter is in appeal, you can keep the appeal alive. You can pay the, you can continue with the appeal, and whatever the fate happens of the appeal will be uh, like available for everybody. Now, this is the most important part, which many of us are still wondering what to be done, what is to be done. If the demand includes 16.4, so like you were issued an order in which 3, 4 parameters were there. Allegations were more than one. And one of the allegation was that you have not claimed your ITC within the timeline prescribed under section 16.4. So now if your matter in all these cases where there is a combined order for 16.4 as well as other than 16.4 matters, in those cases, what you will have to do is file SPL 02. In SPL 02, there is a drop-down menu in which it says out of the total demand which is there due to this order, how much amount is belongs to 16.4. So you have to manually put the 16.4 demand in this, and automatically the system will calculate the reduced liability, and you will have to pay the tax only to the component which is other than 16.4 and covered under 73. So What is to be done? Pay tax demand excluding amount not payable under 16.5 or 16.6. No need to file rectification application in this case, because rectification application is not at all required where you are going to file 128A, because that rectification provision is solely for cases which are majorly for cases which are only independent orders of 164, whether whether you have gone into appeal, or whether it is still in appeal, or whether the appeal order has been passed on it. So in those cases, you might opt for rectification. In cases where the mixed demands are there, there is no need to file rectification application. Just file SPL 02, pay the tax other than 16.4 and get the benefit of 128A. Now, this thing has come up yesterday, as I was saying, appeal withdrawal proofs and condition as amended by the second amendment rules 27 of March 25. SPL 02 to be filed with a proof of withdrawal of appeal. So like when you are going to file the SPL 02, you'll have to attach the proof of withdrawal of appeal. Without it, your SPL 02 will be defective. If the order of withdrawal is pending, then upload the withdrawal order within 1 month from such order. So like if I file, suppose on 1st of April, I am filing it my SPL 02. I have not received the withdrawal order. I have already applied for withdrawal of the appeal. Now what is happening is the appeal is withdrawn, but the appeal withdrawal order is pending. In those cases, what will happen is whenever I'll get the appeal withdrawal order, suppose I get it on 15th of May. From 15th of May, within 1 month, I need to upload that appeal withdrawal order on the portal. Now, the latest amendment which has come in is if the demand of partial amnesty period and partial non-amnesty period, the applicant, instead of withdrawal of the appeal, shall intimate the appellate authority or the appellate tribunal that he does not wish to pursue the appeal for the period mentioned in the said subsection, and the relevant authority shall, after taking note of such request, pass such order for the period other than mentioned in the said subsection as he thinks just and proper. So now the thing is, if you are going, if your order is in appeal, your appeal order is for more than 3 years, like more than 3 years, I mean to say, for period after it covers period before 31st March 20 and after 31st March 20. So in mixed periods, if the appeal is there, what you'll have to do is you need to tell the appellate authority that I do not wish to pursue the appeal for the period mentioned in the said subsection, and the relevant authority shall, after taking note of the request of the taxpayer, pass such order for the appeal other than that mentioned in said subsection as he thinks just and proper. So now the procedure, what is to be done is still unknown to us. This has just come last night. So how you will have to intimate, whether there will be a form for this or a manual application need to be made for this intimation, this has to be seen. But this procedure has come up where you need not withdraw your appeal on entire basis. You can keep the period which are not covered under 128A alive and withdraw the periods which which are covered under 128A. Now the explanation has come up. One very good explanation has come up. For the removal of doubt, it has been clarified that the appeal application shall be deemed to have been withdrawn to the extent of the said intimation for the period from 1st July 2017 to 31st March 23 or part thereof for the purpose of 128A3. What was 128A3? 128A3 was saying you will not be getting the benefit of 128A if the appeal has not been withdrawn. Now the clarification has come. For the removal of doubt, it has been clarified. Appeal application shall be deemed to have been withdrawn to the extent of the said intimation. Like the intimation is like you are going to inform the appellate authority for the period of 1st April 2017 to the 20 or part thereof for the purpose of 128A3. So no need to withdraw. You just need to pay the taxes first. But personally, I suggest even though the payment and the withdrawal of appeal are interlinked, I suggest that you would, if the cases are plain and simple, if the year-wise order are there, and you need to opt for 128A, just file an application. Maximum cases online applications are going if the orders are passed after 2023, on or after 23. And if other cases are there, you can directly go for withdrawal of appeal. Um, you can give a manual application for withdrawal of appeal, and your appeal will be uh, withdrawn. So don't wait for 31st March. Go ahead and if you are sure about opting for amnesty, just withdraw the appeal and pay the taxes and file the application under 128A. Now you have filed the return application in SPL 1 or SPL 2. Now next thing is, what will the officer do? So the officer will, what he can do, he can pass the order in your favor, he can reject your order, or he can, before rejection of the order, he need to pass a defect memo in SPL 03. So if the proper officer is not satisfied, he has to issue SPL 03 within 3 months from the date of receipt of application and give an opportunity of being heard. So principles of natural justice has to be followed in this case. So if the proper officer feels that whatever you have calculated, the demands were short paid or not paid, or whether you have wrongly filed an application which does not gets covered under 73 or 128A, I must say. So in those cases, the officer cannot directly reject your application. He has to issue a defect memo in SPL 03 within a period of 3 months from the date of receipt of the application in SPL 1 or 2. So what will happen is, once you get the defect memo, what will be automatically the next stage? The next stage will be the issue. The next stage will be directly uh, responding to the defect memo. So how you are going to respond to the defect memo? There will be a form SPL 04, which you have to reply within 1 month of SPL 03. So like you got the defect memo, you have got a period of 1 month to comply with the defect. And if you don't comply with the defect, the officer after 1 month can reject your order. So if the acceptance is done, now come to accept. What will happen is, if you have replied to the defect memo, and in cases where defect memo was not received, then what will happen is your application is getting accepted. Order for conclusion will be passed in SPL 05. Okay, and in SPL 01 case, no need to pass DRC 07 because that is a notice stage. There is no demand, there is no ELR, there is nothing. You only paid DRC 03. So in those cases, you will not pass the DRC 07 and the proceeding will be concluded. Where SPL 0 in SPL 02 case, where the order has already been passed. In those cases, the proper officer has to modify the ELR after while accepting the order. So like, if my demand was for tax, interest and penalty, I have paid the tax. Now, when the officer accepts the order, he'll have to nullify those demand for interest and penalty, and your acceptance will be done. Now, coming to where the officer, by what time he needs to pass those SPL 05 order. So if SPL 03 defect memo was not required, then SPL 05 within 3 months of SPL 01 or 2, like I have applied, there was no defect in it. Then the officer has to issue SPL 05 within 3 months of my applications. Where SPL 04 was issued, 03 was issued within uh, and you have filed a reply in SPL 04, then within 3 months of SPL 04. Like I have received it defect today. I had got time of replying within 1 month, but I have replied it tomorrow only. Then my 3 months starts from the date of my reply. Okay. And where no reply against SPL 04 has been received, then sorry, SPL 03 has been received, then within 4 months of issuance of SPL 03, where the officer has to pass the order. So like if I received the SPL 03 today, my my 1 month will end on 20th of January. From there, within 3 months, the officer has to compulsorily pass the order. So like total 4 months period from date of issuance of SPL 03. Okay. And if appeal withdrawal order is pending, the time period for the date of filing of application under SPL 01 till date of submission of the order for withdrawal of the appeal or writ shall not be included. So like if you have just withdrawn the application and you have not uploaded the withdrawal order, then that period till you get the withdrawal order, that period will not be counted while calculating the above period of 3 months or 4 months or 3 months after SPL 04. So make sure that just don't file the application for withdrawal, get the orders as quickly as possible, because that period won't be covered. Until that, you things will be lingering in your mind that my SPL 02 has been accepted or not, my order has been passed in my favor or not, SPL 05 still pending, SPL 05 still pending. And sometimes it may happen that client don't inform that something has come up on email or his message, and many a time it may happen that you miss the chance of replying to SPL 03. So it is always better to get the withdrawal order as soon as possible. Now we come to rejection case. What happens when the appeal gets rejected? Okay, so in case of a rejection order, the time limits are same as above. Like he'll have to pass the within the 3 months from SPL 04. So either he has to pass an order in your favor, or either he has to pass, the proper officer has to pass an order against you, and that will be under SPL 07. Now, uh, these are the things: application and getting the defect memo, and getting the order in your favor or getting the order against you. Now, coming to appeals. What are the remedies available for appeals in cases where your order for rejections, your application in SPL 01 or 2 has been rejected? So first case is SPL 05 case. SPL 05 case means your order has been accepted, your application has been accepted. No appeal can be filed against order of acceptance. This we have seen while reading 128A. So if your application is accepted, no further appeal option is available for you. If we mm, uh, if we go to second stage, where SPL 07 case, like rejection case, and appeal against it is not filed within 107(1). Like you have not filed the appeal which needs to be filed against SPL 07 within the time limit prescribed under 107. Then if an original appeal which was withdrawn for filing SPL 02, it shall be restored. This is a very, very good provision, that if you have withdrawn an application for filing SPL 01 or 2, if you have withdrawn an appeal, then it's definitely has to be SPL 02. If you have withdrawn an appeal, you have filed SPL 02, and the officer has rejected your application, SPL 07 has been passed, and you have not gone into the appeal again with for it, then the original application of appeal will be restored. And if there was no such original appeal, and the time limit for filing an appeal against SPL 07 is gone, then the department is free to take recovery actions, and there is no other remedy option available. So make sure that where the orders were pending, the orders were not in appeal, they were lying somewhere, you were not knowing about those orders, and these orders have been came to your notice while filing while this 128A, because department at our area at least, I don't know whether it is happening everywhere, courtesy letter has been issued to the taxpayers whoever adjudicated under section 73, and for period of 1718, 1819, 1920. So those cases are coming up now because the demands were not known to the consultants as well as the taxpayers that such kind of demand exists. So in those cases where there was no appeal filed, then you'll have to be very careful. If SPL 07 has been issued, then timelines of 107, at least don't miss the bus this time. Now coming to appeal, where SPL 07 case where SPL 01 or 2 was filed against notice order for which no appeal was filed. Okay, the earlier we discussed. So in that case, file APL 01 within timelines of 101. In where I'm talking about cases where there was no original appeal, just the order was passed, and now you have opted for amnesty, and the amnesty is also getting rejected. So in those cases, what you'll have to do is file APL 01 within timeline of 107. You'll have to check the pre-deposit condition, whether whatever has been deducted from the ELR, the if still it is less, then if suppose the department has done some recovery on it. So still if the amount is less than 10%, you will have to fulfill the pre-deposit conditions before filing the 1071 appeal. Okay. After the appeal can only be filed against subject matter of rejection of waiver and no merits of original notice or order. So I am referring to cases where original appeal was not filed. The order was passed, nothing was done on it. The demands were still outstanding, and now you have filed SPL 02. SPL 02 has been rejected, and now what has happened is we have gone into appeal. So in those kind of cases, whenever you are going to file the appeal, the subject matter will only be restricted to the rejection of this SPL 02. No other matters. Like your original, the order was for suppose 2A 3B demand. Okay, but you are having confirmations. You have shown the RICO. Those demands will not be accepted by appellate authority if the original appeal was not filed. Only thing appellate authority will consider is whether your rejection was just and proper. If he feels your rejection was okay, you have violated the conditions of Rule 164 or 128A, and he rejects. If he feels the rejection was proper, then you cannot go into further appeal. You have to accept the demand. Okay. Now we come to the situation where SPL 07 case in a amnesty application has been rejected, but where the original appeal was filed earlier. So in those cases, was filed and withdrawn, I must say. In these cases, if appeal accepted, appellate authority will issue SPL 06 and modify the ELR. So very simple. First thing is, if you are able to convince the appellate authority, FAA, then then they will pass SPL 06 and the liability will be squared off from the ELR. If the appeal authority rejects the order, then what will happen is SPL 07 gets rejected, APL 04 will be issued, original appeal which was withdrawn will be restored subject to undertaking SPL 08 within 3 months, that no further appeal against this rejection order of appellate authority will be filed. So you're getting my point. Suppose the original appeal was filed and withdrawn and SPL 07 was passed, then if the appeal authority also rejects it, then they will pass APL 04 will be issued. Original appeal which was withdrawn will be restored subject to condition to an undertaking in SPL 08 within 3 months that no further appeal against this rejection order of appellate authority. So this rejection part will be done and dusted here. Your original appeal will be again restored, but you have to issue SPL 08 within 3 months. This you have to keep in mind very precisely if the appeal has been filed, withdrawn, and opted for amnesty, and your amnesty has been rejected. So if you don't do this, you will be left of nowhere. So better thing is just keep a track of application whenever you have filed, whatever is the status, and just comply with this SPL 08, because this is a very small provision, but it will going to hamper your stay or recovery of your demands if you have not filed that form within the period of 3 months, like you have not given the undertaking. So now coming to appeal writ, if suppose you were in writ stage and you have withdrawn the writ, and this SPL 07 has been passed. Now in that cases, my friends, there is no provision of restoration of those writ, because writ you have done to the court, High Court or Supreme Court, or especially to a High Court, and you have withdrawn that writ, and your SPL 07 has been issued in your case. You have filed SPL 02 and your application has been rejected. Now the glitch is you cannot get your writ, uh, the restored in a high court. So be very careful while withdrawing the writ. If writs are filed in the cases of in the year 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, then before the withdrawal, make sure that your case fits into 128A. And if it fits into 128A, and if you are don't want to litigate any further in those cases and get the waiver of interest and penalty, then only withdraw the writ. Otherwise, continue with the writ. Now, this circular has been issued yesterday. What does the circular say? Circular 120, circular number 248 oblique 5 oblique 2025, which was issued yesterday. In this circular, the department has broadly clarified on two things. One is, suppose the demand which was later on quantified was paid in GSTR 3B prior to the insertion of 128A. What will happen in those cases? This is very interesting. And secondly, where the entire amount of tax demand is required to be discharged, where notice order pertains to partial periods, if the orders are for more than uh, 2 years, 3 years, and if suppose a year belongs to non-amnesty period, then what will happen? So this two clarification has been because the rules were amended. So obviously the clarification came by way of a circular. So first we will see where the tax has been paid by GST as 3B instead of 03, DRC 03 prior to the notification of 128A, that is 1/11/2024. Would it be eligible for benefit under 128A of the CGST Act? So it has been clarified that the taxpayer who has made payment through GSTR 3B before the date of coming into force of 128A shall also be eligible to take the benefit under the said section. But it has also got a glitch that if you have paid those taxes through 3B after the insertion of 128A, then that benefit of payment of tax through 3B will not be available. Now the question will come to your mind that how this demand, if suppose it is in ELR, and how it will be adjusted, the demand will be adjusted where specifically in cases where 3B has been, the tax has been paid through 3B and not DRC 03 or not through ELR. So this question still remains unanswered to me because only last night it came up and there is no mechanism as such available, or there is no clarification in this regard. We are hopeful that sooner than later the clarifications will come on this issue. Now coming to the second issue which came up last night was whether the entire amount of tax demanded is required to be discharged where notice pertains to period covered partially under 128A and partially outside, and whether the appeal is required to be withdrawn for the entire period. So we have already discussed while discussing the rules, the provisions of the circular. The rule 164.4 and the provision to 164.7 has been now amended, and to allow the taxpayer to file an application form SPL 01 and SPL 02 as the case may be after making payment of his liability for the periods covered under 128A. So this is amply clear. If partially covered under 128 and partially outside, I say if there are periods like that, then you'll have to file SPL 01 for making for periods covered under 128A, and you'll have to pay tax only in respect of those 3 years, initial 3 years. So what happens where the appeal is required to be withdrawn for entire period? Like previously it was complete withdrawal of appeal was there. Now, as I have already deliberated, the taxpayer after filing the SPL 01 or SPL 2, as the case may be, shall intimate that appellate authority or tribunal is intent to avail the benefit of 128A, and if it does not intend to pursue the period appeal for the period covered under 128A, the appellate authority, as the case may be, shall take note of the said request, pass such order for the period other than mentioned in the subsection, subset section, as it thinks just and proper. So this issue was already discussed. Now, we will come to an important part before going to the FAQ and the question answer session. We will first brush upon section 7512. What is section 7512? What is interest on delay of filing of return? That is section 50. The interest demand as per section 51. What is delayed reporting of taxes? Like 88B cases, we all know that liability of proper period was not disclosed in proper period. So interest was levied on a gross basis rather than net basis. So the benefit of cash ledger was not available in those cases. So now we will come to what happens is up till now we have seen neither the neither the Act 128A, neither the rules 164 were providing any distinction between any matters covered under section 73. So like as per it, what was there? That if the demand is as per 73, you can file the amnesty application, waiver application, and claim the benefit out of it. So there was no distinction at all, but the distinction has been issued by way of a circular. What the circular is saying, the point number 4 of the FAQ is saying whether the benefit provided under section 128A will become applicable in cases where the tax due has been already paid and the notice or demand order under section 73 only pertains to interest or penalty involved. So like you have accepted the demand of tax during the course of your assessment, during the course of your audit or adjudication. So in those cases, only interest and penalty, maybe due to financial constraint, maybe due to planning, you don't want to liquidate your funds. You know that your tax has been stopped over here and your penalty is subject to 10% or 10,000, whichever is higher, and it is a plain vanilla 73 case. Then in that case, what you'll have to do is you have not paid the tax, or you have paid the taxes but not paid the interest. So as we started with 128A, the first words which were written in 128A were that the person should be liable for tax, like notwithstanding anything contrary content to the act, where an amount of tax is payable by a person chargeable to tax. So many people were wondering whether if you are only chargeable to interest and penalty and not chargeable to tax, then whether the benefit of 128A will be available. So this first part of the FAQ has clarified, yes, where the tax due has already been paid and the notice or demand order under 73 only pertains to interest and penalty involved, the same shall be considered for availing the benefit of section 128A. So it is till here, everything is very fine. Like you have paid the taxes, only demand is for interest and penalty. There is no demand is for taxes left. So whether you are going to get the benefit of 128A, yes, done and dusted. Now coming to second point. This is the major area of deliberation and discussion which we are facing right now. That however, the benefit of waiver of interest and penalty shall not be applicable in cases where interest has been demanded on account of delayed filing of returns or delayed reporting of any supply in the return. As such, interest is related to demand of interest on self-assessed liability and does not pertain to any demand of tax dues, and is directly recoverable under section 7512. I'll once again read it for the benefit of the audience. The benefit of waiver of interest and penalty shall not be applicable in the cases where interest has been demanded on account of delayed filing of return. Number 1, section 51. If the demand is for late filing of 3B, no benefit. Or the delayed reporting of any supply in the return, like you have reported a supply of April in June, then due to this, there is a delay of filing of delay of reporting of that supply, and in that case, you will be liable to pay gross interest. And in those cases will also will not be applicable for benefit under 128A or as such interest. What the reason has been given, as such interest is related to demand of interest on self-assessed liability and does not pertain to any demand of tax dues and is directly recoverable under section 7512. So this has become a problem. The direct recovery cases under 7512 have been barred from the benefit of 128A by way of this FAQ. So this is a highly debatable issue, whether some might say that if there was 7512, there was direct recovery mechanism, then why 73 notices were issued? So you could have gone directly by 79. You can recovery of taxes can be done from there. But if we have issued a notice under 73 and that 73 notice covers demand as per 7512 or say 88B or say 51, then you will have to then a school of thought is that you will be required to the benefit of the amnesty shall be applicable, and one school of thought is that benefit of the scheme shall not be applicable. So what 7512 says, notwithstanding anything contained in section 73 or 74, where an amount of self-assessed tax in accordance with the return furnished under 39 remains unpaid, like 3B, it's unpaid, either wholly or partly, or any amount of interest payable on such tax remains unpaid, the same shall be recovered as per provisions of section 79, direct recovery cases. And what is this self-assessed tax? The self-assessed tax is what? It is difference between return filed under 37 and return filed under section 39. R1 versus 3B. R1 is higher, 3B is less. Department has raised a demand. This demand is quantified under 7512, and this is a direct recovery case. And because of this circular, it has brought to light that this benefit under section 7512 will not be available. Because what will happen is, even though if you are going to suggest that no, this is wrong or this is unjust, well, because I'll just deliberate on this too. So, I'll conclude after reading this slide. See, 7512 is for R1 3B and 51 is for delayed of filing of returns, and delayed reporting is covered by 88B. So you have two cases majorly. Honorable Division Bench of High Court of Karnataka in LC Infra. It has held that before recovery of interest payable under Section 50, a show cause notice is required to be issued to the SEC. So this deals with only Section 50. A show cause notice has to be issued, because if it is not done, principles of natural justice are not followed. The decision has been accepted by the department. The department has now, in most of the cases, stopped issuing direct demands in matters of delay filing of returns. So when the High Court has said that an SCN was required, and if the SCN is issued under Section 73, because it has to be issued under 73 because it is a self-declared liability. Nothing has been found out by the department that that due to fraud or misstatement or willful missuppression has been done, any suppression has been done. So this is a naturally we have reported the same. So those cases will be covered under 73. So if the returns are filed late and there is an interest due to this, the court has said that issue SCN. And if SCN is issued under 73, why not the benefit of 75 128A shall be available? Secondly, Rajkamar Builders Infrastructure Private Limited in the state of Gujarat, wherein the question before the High Court was whether department could have a direct recourse to 79 in 7512 case, like 3B versus R1 difference. Whether the department can actually use the provisions of 79, that is direct recovery, in the cases of R1 versus 3B. After extracting both the aforesaid provision, the High Court held that the High Court has held that the notice in these cases is must. So, like 7512 also the High Court is saying that the notice is must, and Honorable Division Bench in Karnataka High Court case also, LC Infra case also, it has said that a notice is must for Section 50 or 51 demand of interest. So without show cause notice, the taxpayer cannot. One thing is very simple. Direct recovery has been done. No 73 notice. Question of 128A does not arise. Plain and simple. If the notice was issued, it was under 73. Question of 128A starts. So without show cause notice, the taxpayer cannot avail the benefit of amnesty. Self-paid. Now, what is happening over here is कि self-paid but delayed, no benefit as per this clarification in the circular. And if we go by the circulars are binding on the departmental officials. So they are going to say that this is binding on us. You can go into further appeal if you don't wish to, uh, if you want to litigate this matter further. So self-paid but delay, no benefit. If department is finding during audits or during adjudication the same demand like other demands, you have reported your sale short, you have taken excess ITC, you have wrongly calculated reversal, you have claimed the blocked ITC, and that demands have been coming up, the benefit of waiver is available. So we were hoping that till now some clarification would have been was must have come on this regard, but as it is not been done till now, I'm not an astrologer to guess what will happen in future, but the chances might get reduced after, since the time limit for payment is only left for 2 days. Now, because of this 7512 and this circular, equals are treated unequally in under GST because of 128A cases. And as I already deliberated, 73 notice covering matters of 7512, only circular restricts the benefit. So this is a very highly debatable area. One will have to calculate the cost benefit analysis. One take might be like if you are not in, if you are in appeal for R13B, suppose, withdraw the appeal, file directive 128A, application SPL02. What will happen is if nothing comes up in next 3 months also, that your SPL07 will be passed in your amnesty application will be rejected, then what will happen? Your original appeal will be restored. So it's a matter of taking a chance before 31st March that if you want to, ultimately, if you're not going to get the benefit, you're not going to get the benefit today as well as in future. But if you want to take the benefit, you will have to withdraw the appeal and file the application under 128A. Now we come to the FAQ part. FAQ part is more or less being discussed in the 128A, that circular number 238, which was issued in 2004. So, sorry, 2024. So I'll just highlight a few points because what I've seen from the queries also, some of the questions have already been covered under the FAQ part, but still the queries are coming on the same ground. So first query is full tax paid before 128A, benefit available, no question, very well clarified. And the circular is also very well clarified. FAQ was also clarified. Now coming to tax recovered by an officer from any other person, like department has issued recovery notice to somebody else, like your supplier has been supplier. If your customer has been issued a notice that if you have some balance outstanding, then you don't pay to him, the supplier, and rather pay to the government. So this type of tax recovery has been done. Then this will be considered as payment towards demand if recovery before the date of notification under 120 day, like before 31st March, whatever has been recovered will be treated as payment towards that demand. Now coming to interest and penalty paid or recovered, no refund, no adjustment. Very simple. Already we have discussed this initially while seeing 128A. The last proviso of after clause 4 was the no refund will be available in this case. Now coming to 128A, applicable to notices orders under section 73 only pertains to interest or penalty. That issue has already been taken care of while deliberation under the it is plain and simple that that benefit will be available. Only interest and the tax has been paid and interest and penalty has been pending. Now coming to partial withdrawal. Earlier it was not permitted. Now it is permitted that if you have an order where the order is for multiple years and which contains period of more than suppose some period is under amnesty and some period is outside the purview of 128A. So those cases, partial withdrawal is now permissible. What kind of partial withdrawal is not permissible? If suppose the order is for single year or the order is for 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 or a part thereof, then you cannot go and say that I'm going to withdraw on this issue and I don't want to withdraw on that issue. You will have to make a complete withdrawal of the application. You will have to pay the entire tax, whether you like it or not. If you want to go for SPL02, then you will have to pay the withdraw the appeal completely in cases where the demand pertains to period covered under amnesty. If like it is a single year order. If suppose the order is for 1819, then you will have to go into amnesty for all the grounds. You cannot say that R1 3B I will fight because I have wrongly reported in R1. I will prove to the appellate authority that this R1 was wrongly reported, and there are mechanisms available in 183, 193 circular number. So I'll fight that case and withdraw the remaining grounds. This is not possible, sir. Make yourself very sure about it. IGST cess dues, like we are always talking of CGST and SGST. Whether IGST and cess dues are also covered? Yes, the answer is covered. Whether transitional credit matters are covered, though circular has made it very clear that transitional matters are also covered. So like if you have filed in Tran 1 and claimed a wrong ITC and that ITC is also got denied after the order, just pay the ITC which was disallowed through cash, credit, whatever you want, and make it make yourself comfortable that transitional matters are also going to be covered under this amnesty. Now coming to late fee and redemption fine, I have already discussed what the section 128A said. You are going to get the benefit of only interest and penalty, no tax benefit, no late fee benefit, no redemption fine benefit. Other benefits are not available. Only two benefits are available, that is interest and penalty. What is the SPL filed before Supreme Court? We do know that if a special petition has been filed, SLP has been filed, there is a typing mistake over there. So you will have to withdraw the SLP, attach the proof. If withdrawal order pending, in that again you will have to follow the same procedure which we have earlier discussed in case of a normal appeal. That if withdrawal order is pending, get the appeal withdrawal order, upload it within 1 month. Now coming to penalties covered under 128A. Penalties under section 128A, 73, 122, 125, etc. issued are all covered. So like you have a general penalty of 125, that is also covered. If the notice is under section 73, you'll have to you can take the benefit of 128A. Payment through cash and credit. Ideally, there is no restriction on making payment of the tax demand by cash or credit. One thing you will have to keep in mind is that both options are available, but where the demand is for RCM or erroneous refund or ECO. Okay, so in those cases, you'll have to pay it the demand through cash ledger only. Otherwise, credit ledger is allowed. Only in these three circumstances, you will have to compulsory pay your demand through cash ledger, because you know RCM cannot be paid through cash, through credit. Erroneous refund is a refund you have got. You will have to refund. You will have to pay it to cash. And ECO cases, you will have to pay your demand by debiting the cash ledger. Now coming to import IGST dues under Customs Act. So this benefit is not available because we are only dealing with GST, not the Customs Act. So what is the gist of our discussion today? Waiver applicable to notices and demands under Section 73. Demand should pertain to 1/7/2017 to 31st/3/2020. Pay full tax and claim waiver of interest and penalty before the said period. Not applicable to erroneous refund or where appeal not withdrawn. No partial withdrawal allowed. It was till last night. Allowed only if multiple years beyond, if multiple year order beyond 128-day period. Multiple notice or orders, multiple applications. So like for a particular year, you have got 5 show cause notice and 5 orders have been issued. Okay. So what you'll have to do is file 5 SPL 02 or 1, whatever the case may be. Okay, so very sure multiple notice or order, multiple applications. If it is a single notice, single order for multiple years. I repeat, single notice, single order for multiple years, for multiple years. Then only one application. So it has to be done notice wise or order wise. Okay. Issues with DRC 03A I have already discussed. One prudent thing as a tax practitioner or as a chartered accountant or as a compliance professional, what we must do is, I have done in all my cases, that I have checked the electronic liability registered in each and every of my case. Because many a times it might have happened that you were unaware of any notice as well as the order passed by any authority, adjudication order has been done, and that no appeal was filed against those order, no remedies which were available in under the act were done, no rectification was filed, nothing was done. So in those cases, what you'll have to do is check the ELR whether there are liabilities there, and if the liability is there, just find out the root cause for it. And when if the application, suppose this was done 2 years back, now you have left with no rectification chance. Now you're left with if there is a clerical mistakes in the order, like arithmetic, purely an arithmetic mistake under the order, then the time limit of 6 months does not apply in those cases. But otherwise, if the order is okay, you have not responded to it, and there is a demand outstanding, then the quantification is all perfect. Even though it is not perfect, but since you have not replied to it, only arithmetic accuracy cases are there, then your time limit is still there. Otherwise, you have got no options, no remedies left. You'll have to directly approach the court for stay on this procedure, stay on this demand. So if suppose the demand is very less and the cost of going to High Court for getting the stay on it is by way of writ is very high, then you what at least you can choose for 128A in 73 cases for the first 3 years and get your client a relief of interest and penalty. Now, there has been a one matter I will like to cover is an advisory which was issued, an issue of filing of application in SPL 01 and 2 under the waiver scheme. So the trade was wondering whether SPL 02 needs to be filed or 1 or 2 needs to be filed before 31st of March 2025. So what are the problems which are faced on GSTN? Order number is not available in drop down while filing SPL 02. Order details are not getting auto-populated after selection of particular order 02. Payment details are not getting auto-populated in table 4 of SPL 02. After filing the SPL 02 for a demand order, the taxpayer is not able to make payment using payments toward demand for that order. Also, taxpayer is not able to adjust the amount paid through DRC 03, as I said, through DRC 03A, as I earlier pointed out. Not able to withdraw the appeal application filed before first appellate authority because for I don't exactly remember the date in 2023, but prior to that date, you'll have to file a manual application. Post that date, you can file an online application for withdrawal of appeal. So in those cases, these are the problems which were faced by the trade. So it has been clarified that the amnesty is the only need you need to do is pay the tax demand. If you are not able to set off, just leave the DRC 03 as it is. But we will have to modify the ELR before filing SPL 02. So the government has said that just pay the demand. These problems raise a ticket, we will be addressing those issues because these issues are still and many issues are there on the portal which needs to be addressed. So that has to be done in the next 3 months. Now coming to question and answers. Till last night we had a few question and answer. First we will go through those question and answers. If how much time is left? We have half an hour left. So as many queries are there, I'll try to address those queries. If time is short, then we'll have to stop as and when the time gets over. Anybody, Nisarg or Imrit ma'am, is Umesh sir there?
No, sir, Umesh sir is not there.
Okay.
If you have any
So
issue, you can ask me.
no, I don't have any issue as such. I wanted to like anybody wants to pass, give Umesh sir needs if he's willing to share something before we go into Q&A. That's why I inquired.
Oh, no
Okay,
issue.
so shall I continue with the Q&A?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. So now coming to the question and answers, the proper officer has rejected the application filed under 128A for waiver of interest and penalty and passed the order of SPL 02. Whether same is an appealable order? If yes, then what are the time limits and pre-deposit requirements for the same? I have already covered this issue in slide number 13, that where the original appeal was filed and withdrawn. In those scenario, what is to be done? Where no original appeal was filed, in that scenario, what was to be done? So this matter is already well covered by slide number 13. That will be, I guess, made available to all the participants. And this video recording was also going to be uploaded on the portal. So coming to the next question, can a business operate under multiple GST registration across different states? Avail the waiver for all pending tax demand under section 128A through a consolidated application. Alternatively, it is mandatory to make separate application and submit individual application for GST to quantify the waiver. So I've already discussed that multiple notices or orders, multiple application has to be made immaterial, whether you have multiple registrations or not. Whatever the GST number is there, if there is a notice in that GST number or there is an order in that GST number, you'll have to file a separate application for the same. If there is a single order or single notice for multiple years, for a single GST, you can make a single application in SPL 01 or 2, whatever the case may be. Now, coming to which date shall be considered as date of payment, that date on which the amount has been paid through DRC 03 or the date on which the said amount has been adjusted from the ELR has been adjusted by filing 03A. DRC 03 shall be sufficient till 31st March. DRC 03A is required before SPL 1 and 2. 128, because 128.3 linked with 128.1, which pertains to payment of full tax. So, that adjustment can be done, that appeal withdrawal or this adjustment can be done even after the date of payment of even after 31st March. Now, the next question is whether the benefit under 128A will be applicable in cases of tax dues has been already been paid and notice or demand order under section 73 only pertains to interest. But this question is very well clarified under circular, and I've also covered this part. Mr. A has been issued a single notice for multiple years. In this case, how will he benefit for waiver provided? Whether the amount to be paid for waiver is only in respect of 1920 or 2024, then in this case, question number 6 was there earlier. Now this question number 6, the FAQ number 6, para number 4 of circular number 238. In that case, you have got some FAQ, like exactly how many FAQs were there? There were 16 FAQs. Out of the 16 FAQs, 6th FAQ dealt with the where notices involves multiple periods, some covered under 128A and some covered, some are outside the purview of 128A. So that question number, that FAQ number 6 has been withdrawn. Since this new rules have come up and the new circular has been issued, so they have categorically stated that this FAQ point number 6 has been withdrawn from circular number 238/32 of 2004. So now in the new scenario where a single notice for multiple period is there, like 1920 is covered and 2021 is not covered. So in that cases, if you are in appeal, you can withdraw partially and pay 1920 tax and continue with 2021. And if you're not in appeal, if time limit to file an appeal was there, you should have done it by now. So because 2021 cases and 1920 cases, if not in appeal, you are losing out on the option of filing of appeal under for 2021. Okay, now coming to number 6 point, sixth question. Mr. A has filed an SPL in respect of order of an High Court. Now he wants to avail the benefit of waiver under Section 128A. Is it possible for him to do so? I have already covered the SLP scenario also, special leave petition scenario. Whether question and for the reference of the audience, I have also referred to the circular 238, where this matter has already been discussed. Whether payment to avail waiver under 128A can be made by utilizing input tax credit. That also we have deliberated before, that for RCM demand or issue demand or for erroneous refund, you need to pay in cash. For other demands, you can definitely choose the credit ledger for discharging your liability of tax for period covered under 128A. Are cases involving transitional credit covered under 128A? The question 11 of circular 238 also clarifies this, that yes, you can do it. Now, one important question which has come up is, does 128A give relief in cases where recovery proceedings such as bank account attachment or garnish orders have already been initiated against the taxpayer? If recovery actions are ongoing, will making the required payment under 128A automatically halts such proceeding or in additional compliance required to be stopped enforcement of actions. See, enforcement actions are normally covered under 74. But if suppose a normal 73 order has been issued and the taxpayer was not able to pay those demand, and recovery proceeding has been initiated against the taxpayer, if recovery actions have gone in, and whatever the recovery has been done, that can be adjusted towards your tax demand, and and if you pay out the tax demand and file SPL 02, get yourself SPL 06, then in those cases you are not going, your enforcement action will be stopped. Now coming to, there might be cases where you will have to analyze that how much payment has been recovered. So if you go into 128A, your further appeals are, and you get an order in your favor, then whatever has been recorded is gone. If you are hopeful that these enforcement actions, the demand which have been initiated in those cases are going to be substantially reduced, then you can go ahead, continue with your appeal. You don't need to go into 128A. So this answer cannot be one answer for this. It has to be looked into on 128A basis, on a case-to-case basis. See, already whatever I have deliberated upon till now, it is very clear that this scheme is not, the scheme is in fact very good also and very tricky also at times, because it is giving the benefit, but it is technically you need to file your applications very well. So my request to all the participants is that before filing SPL 01 or before making the payments, if you have any doubt, you can see the circulars, what are the reliefs available. If you still have any doubt, you can contact me also. I can, if I'm able to solve your queries, which are left unanswered, I will be more than happy to answer your queries. And but thing is, be very particular while filing this application, because one mistake from your end might, your taxpayer might lose the benefit of 128A if you don't comply with the provisions which are mentioned in 128A or 164, the rule thereof. So now coming to the next question, in cases where payment in DRC 03 is made under wrong head other than voluntary payment, and in case where the payment in DRC 03 is made under wrong head, that is other than voluntary payment and others, payment in taxpayer is unable to adjust the amount paid through GST 003 against the order of demand through DRC 03, how can a registered person avail the benefit of waiver in those cases? See, this is a very, like many clarifications have come up. Like in your case, you have made payment, but you have made other than voluntary payment. You are not able to file your DRC 03A. You are not able to, there might be a place of supply issue in IGST demand. These issues are unresolved. These issues need to be taken care in next 3 months. So right now there is no remedy for this apart from getting going to the GST portal, help desk, and or approaching your nodal officer for getting the issue resolved. But currently, there is no mechanism in which I can help you on this because I'm hopeful, but that something will come up in the next 3 months because even if you are paid to DRC, your demand is still paid. It is the condition has been met of paying the tax before 31st March 2025. Uh, See, this issue in 11, I guess I have covered that the taxpayer has received a notice for two issues: erroneous refund, wrongful availment of ITC. To avail the amnesty benefit, the taxpayer is required to withdraw any appeal filed before the forum. However, the taxpayer is not satisfied with the order concerning the erroneous refund in such scenario. How can a taxpayer refile an appeal specifically? See, there is no partial withdrawal of appeal. There is no question of going into further deliberation on this. Either you make a cost benefit analysis whether your how much is your erroneous refund demand, how much is your wrong availment of ITC, whether how much you are going to get the benefit. You have to calculate it. That our role comes here only. As a chartered accountants, we are supposed to make a best decision for our clients. So you make a cost benefit analysis whether withdrawing and going to 128 is beneficial. Obviously do it. If you are sure that the demand is going to be reduced in appeal, then you can continue with the appeal. Every case has to be looked into separately. Partially allowed FAA orders SPL 02 first on refund application on part for first for part payment first. Partially allowed first appeal order. Well, what should be done? SPL 02 first or refund application for part payment first? The answer to this query might be that system shows refund after deducting interest and penalty. Hence, ideally, you should file the SPL 02 first because if while filing the refund, if your refund is getting reduced by the interest and penalty, then there is no point of this claiming refund first. So first file SPL 02. Solely 16 for order, rectify and file refund application. Only 16 for order was there, and you have that is in appeal or that appeal has been rejected or you have not filed an appeal, get it rectified and file the refund application. If now the problem which is coming in these cases is where suppose the OIO was passed online, but the appeal order was passed offline. So in that case, the electronic liability register has not been modified. So you will have to approach the appellate authority, get those orders uploaded online, get those electronic liability register modified. Then the electronic liability register will go into negative, and then you can opt for refund under those cases. Suppose you have got cases where OIO was offline, where appeal order was definitely, if the OIO was offline, then order was passed offline. Then in those cases, you can go for refund under the others option. You can upload your rectification orders in those cases and get yourself the benefit of section 128A. Section 16(4) dismissed. I have been getting issues where section 16(4) has been appeals for section 16(4) are dismissed for strange reasons, like the officer is not convinced that the matter is only 16(4) in the disallowance. Then in that cases, you'll have to do a cost benefit analysis, 128A or further appeal, you'll have to choose. I have already covered this issue, OIO online, appeal order offline. So in those cases, APL 04 first has to be uploaded. There is a utility also for the appellate authority in these cases where OIO was online and appeal order was offline. They can upload a offline APL 04 from that utility and they can modify the ELR. pre-deposit due to 16.4 is more than the demand on other issues. Now, what this question means is, suppose I got an order in which suppose the demand for due to 16.4 was say for 50 lakhs, and other demands were suppose for 2 lakhs. So 16.4 and 2 lakhs, 52, I paid 5,20,000. I went into the appeal. The appeal has 16.4 has been was covered under 16.5. So I got the order in my favor. Now what is left is 2 lakhs demand. So what is to be done in those cases? If you want to opt for amnesty in those cases, there is no clarification right now in this regard, because ideally the demand is squared off. Like your 2 lakhs has been adjusted against this. So this has also been seen on a case-to-case basis, and decision has to be taken on this regard. Bifurcation of interest and penalty in case of multiple issues in order. Some covered and some not covered by 122. So while discussing 7512, I have already discussed this issue that suppose there are three types of demands. One is not covered under 128A, two is covered under 128A. For at least for interest calculation, it might be simple. Like you can bifurcate on a ratio basis that how much is the interest to be allocated for the demand which is not covered under 128A, and what is the demand for which is for demand covered under 128A. Now coming to the penalty part, uh, in our area, I had a few deliberations with the officers also. Various views are there in this regard. It will be better if we get a clarification on this, because all field formations are going to apply their own judgment in this regard, how they are going to bifurcate the penalty. Because thing happening is that suppose after you have gone into filed SPL 02, but the demand for issue not covered under 128A is less than, say, suppose 10,000 rupees. Okay, so the officer might say that I will levy a minimum penalty under 73(9) of 10,000 or 10%, whichever is higher for that issue. So this kind of issues are going to come up. So it will be better if we get a clarification on this regard, that how the interest and penalty needs to be bifurcated where multiple orders are issued. 73 plus 74 order, my God. There are cases where 73 and 74 have been passed. See, uh, we are fortunate enough in Maharashtra at least that the State Department has passed section-wise order and year-wise orders. So most of the problems which are there are not faced in cases of order passed by the State Department. In Central Department, we have some cases where multiple years are covered under single order. So that is leading to many problems. Here I am facing an issue where 73 and 74 order is combined. So what needs to be done? If you want to file 128A without paying for 74 demand, I think that will be a risky proposition. That can be a proposition because 128A only talks about 73 demand. So 73 demands has to be paid before 31st March. I have done that. It is not saying about 74 demand. So if you are not paid 74 demand before 31st, it can be an option, but it will be a risky option. Now, just give me a few minutes. I'll stop my screen sharing and okay. I've got a few questions right now during the course of this deliberations. Oh my God. Well, I've got more than 60 questions right now in front of me. Anybody from our committee, indirect tax committee, how much time is left for me? Like 10 minutes are there to conclude.
Yes,
So
sir.
when should I
11 minutes.
when should I conclude my deliberation? 5 minutes? Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay. So last 5 minutes, I will take up the questions as quickly as possible. So I'll just share my screen for the question and answer which has been issued by you. This is not coming in a proper format. I'll just keep the screen for myself. First question is demand rate 73 on account of difference in liability of R1 3B already discussed. Rectification application or uploading OTP is also coming, is not coming. Sir, I can't help you with that. You'll have to contact the technical team. Will 128A be applicable if the SEC has deposited the money in cash ledger but failed to file 3B within due date? Sir, these issues has to be if there is a demand of late filing of 3B, then already the circular is saying that the benefit is not available, and the clarification that if the amount is there in cash ledger and you have not uploaded the return, then as on the due date of filing of that return, that has to be looked into whether you want to, for on a quantum basis, you'll have to fight whether you want to take the benefit of amnesty or not. The tax payment made in 3B for March 19, but GSTR1 outward supply was filed in April 19 demand, and the tax payment made in 3B of March 19, but GSTR1 for such outward supply was filed in April 19. Demand confirmed from 1920 whether that same may be covered by the circular. No, this is ultimately, and for 1920 it is what R1 versus 3B demand. So R1 versus 3B demand is a 75-12 demand. So 75-12 demand as per the circular is not getting covered. So you should, it will be better if you get continue with your appeal in this matter and give a repo in this regard that if you combine the 2 years, the R1 versus 3B will be, difference will be nil and you will get a favorable order in this regard. What is the due date of payment withdrawal of appeal application before 31st or after 31st? I have already deliberated on this. Sir, my SPL 02 has been rejected for not filing DRC 03A. What step I can do? File SPL 02 has already been rejected so fast. You have already filed and 3 months have gone. Sir, something I am failing to understand. How can it happen that you have uploaded SPL 02, defect memo was issued, you have complied with the defect memo, and you have your SPL 02 has been rejected. So again, you will have to file an SPL 02, I guess, because 03A is pending. I've already said adjust your ELR before filing SPL 03, the SPL 02. So do it and then file it. Can we file SPL 02 later and make payment by 31st March? This is a very regular question. You have to make the payment. SPL 2 can be filed till the 30th of June. ITC adjustment in GST return. The question is not clear. Should we withdraw the SPL if we are filing an appeal in June, or should we wait for the order? I've already covered this part also, that only payment is compulsory before 31st. But why we want to wait for withdrawal of appeal? I am failing to understand. Should we wait for withdrawal order before SPL 02? Yes. Ideally, you should, if you have time till this 30th of June, then get your withdrawal order first and then file the application. That will reduce this one step of defect memo. So ideally, you should first get your withdrawal order. But there is no barring on this. You can apply without even getting the withdrawal order. My client filed as application 128A against 73. The order was solely on 16.4, but now available. The order contains no other demand other than denied ITC and penalty. Since my client has already filed 128A, has been done the correct thing. If not, what is the recourse? So if he has ideally 16.4, only solely 16.4 cases should have gone to rectification, but you have filed the application. So in those cases, your demand will be squared off. Now the problem will be claiming of refund. So that will be done after the application has been approved and negative liability is getting reflected in your electronic liability register. As per para 6 of para circular, the para 6 has been withdrawn, so we won't deliberate on this. Should we withdraw appeal? Again, same question. ITC adjustment, again, same question. Should we file SPL 032 before, after making payment of tax? Obviously, SPL 02 has to be made after payment of tax. We received the order of 73 for payment of demand against late filing of return. The demand was paid by us through DRC 03. Now I have noticed that ELR, the two demand IDs, you will have to file a rectification application for one demand ID. I have done payment of reverse charge through DRC 03 for 1718 in April 24. As per the judgment now, we can claim the RCM. This is outside the purview of 128A. You will have to go, whether the RCM credit is available or not is a separate question. What you need to do is, for that RCM portion, you just file the 128A. Claiming of ITC on reverse charge is available right now. So if the self-invoicing is done in current period, you can go ahead with it. Whether to avail the amnesty benefit pendants, amnesty pendency of appeal is mandatory. If the demand is created by an order but no appeal, then also you can go for, if there is no appeal filed, order is 73, issue is for first 3 years, go ahead with the amnesty, no issues. We have order of 1819 for 9 lakhs that we have agreed to pay 3 lakhs and balance 6 lakh applied for appeal. We take the benefit of 128A for 3 lakhs and balance 6 lakh. No, sir, this cannot be done. ITC related adjustment. Just the query is ITC related adjustment. I can't figure out what kind of question is this. Then there is Mr. somebody from Malegaon, Nashik. Order issued under 73 on various paras less excess ITC claimed in 3B, which is not confirmed by 2A. Difference in R1 3B. ITC claimed in 3B non-filer. ITC claimed after last date 16/4 in the month. Now we filed rectification application for 16/4 and only 16/4. How we can file a rectification application? We need to file an appeal for other cases also, na? So as per para 3.3 of circular, the proper officials are consider other grounds other than 16/4 also. So can we finalize rectification application even though there is a delay in filing appeal? My suggestion is, now there is no appeal is required, no rectification is also required in these cases. If you have not filed the appeal, not filed the rectification, just plain and simple SPL 02 you file, reduce the demand of 16/4, remaining demands you pay it off, tax you pay it off, and your matter will be over. Additional liability, somebody from my city. Additional liability as per GST 9 in column 10 and 11 declared and same has been discharged through DRC 03. Our interest not paid. Can we claim benefit? No, dear. In this case, 88B provisions shall come into force, and as per the circular, this is not available. Although my suggestion again is try and take the benefit. If something comes up in next 3 months, we will at least be eligible for this. Pre-deposit challan amount paid at the time of filing appeal is not reflecting in table 4 of SPL 02. Sir, in this case, if you have paid a pre-deposit challan and you have filed SPL 02, then automatically, as soon as you pay your pre-deposit challan, your ELR is getting reduced. Suppose the demand was for 5 lakhs, you have paid demand pre-deposit of 50,000. Then you've already reduced your ELR to 4,50,000. So this question cannot be tenable. Like I don't find merit in this question. If we have wrongly paid CGST and SGST instead of IGST for RCM transaction, can we take the waiver of penalty? Is not applicable for the case. Can we ask for a waiver? Yes, a waiver of penalty and interest can be done in those cases, no doubt. Sir, in a case where I think there are a lot of questions left, but the time is short. So the time allocated to me is over. I thank the Indirect Tax Committee, the RK sir, the chairman of the committee, and Umesh Sharma sir, the vice chairman of the committee, for giving me this opportunity. I have tried my level best. Like already this 128A I have studied earlier, but last night some new modifications came up that also needed to be incorporated in this. and I tried to deliberate each and every options, each and every problem which was there in 128A or related problems. I am still hopeful of getting more clarification in the next 3 months. What best is, don't let your demand of tax unpaid, pay it off so that you will be eligible for SPL02 filing after 31st March also, in case anything beneficial come up. Like last night, it came up for partial periods, so or payment made through 3B before the inception of 128A. So this kind of things will happen. We should be hopeful. All in all, the scheme is tricky, but the scheme is welcome because many businesses were suffering a lot. So please apply your full mind. Please make a prudent and conscious decision before opting or not opting for 128A. And if you're opting for it, all the best. And I hope I have done justice to your time and the opportunity given to me by IDT committee. Thank you so much. And I conclude here with my deliberation. Over to you, Imprit ma'am or Lisa sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the remarkable session. We had a deep insight into the topic. I thanks everyone, especially the speaker, my chairman and vice chairman, and my team, the technical team, to support this event and conceptualizing this event. Thank you.